everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bayou Chronicles. We are your host. I'm Crystal.
And I'm Bethany.
And before we get started, we have kind of been hinting around about something kind of big that was happening for our podcast. Obviously, if you were following us on social media, you kind of already knew because we really couldn't keep a secret. A couple of weeks ago, we had the opportunity to be interviewed by Meredith at the Shreveport Times, which is a local newspaper here, obviously. And we had some pretty cool pictures taken of us in the Oakland Cemetery here, which, again, if you were on social media, I did like a little tour while I was waiting for the pictures to be taken.
It was awesome. Yeah.
I have like a love affair with that cemetery. I feel like I should probably find my senior pictures that I was telling y'all about that I took in the cemetery.
It was really cool, though. It's just like there's a bunch of hills and a bunch of different... We saw a lot of people with Crystal's last name. There was a lot of Smiths. There was a lot.
A lot. It's fun. Our pictures were awesome. I really did look like I was gonna mess somebody up. Like,
we both just look like we are not happy at all.
Well,
like,
she
we're
told us.
Yeah,
she
said
told
be
us
serious.
To be serious. And then looking back, I realized that I may have been too serious. Like, I took the serious thing to heart. But you know what? I don't know. I still kind of like
it. Looked really
nice.
Cool. It's really nice.
Definitely looked like we were a girl rock band.
It does. That's literally what my mind goes to. Like, we could be like the Still Magnolias or something. Like some kind of
I love it.
Something.
Oh gosh. Okay, actually not even gonna do it. I'm not gonna do the long intro today. We are just gonna have to be like, what is she talking about? I really want to know, and you're gonna have to wait. So I'm sorry. Anyway, thank you to everyone who has liked, followed, written sweet comments, everything that you've done for our little community. It's really cool to know that, you know, we've got our name out there a little bit. And if you're listening to this because you found our podcast via the Shreveport Times, thank you so much. We hope you enjoy it here. If not, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we know we're not everybody's type.
There's probably gonna be some people that are like, wow, they suck.
Yeah, I don't know. We're not everybody's type, but you know, we're not here to please everybody. We're here just to kind of make it feel like while you're working or you're, I don't know, driving around somewhere or
cleaning your house, grocery shopping. I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm grocery shopping.
I do too, because I put my headphones in because I don't want anyone to talk
to me. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're doing any of that and you just need to have some background noise or you just want to feel like you're hanging out with some friends, that's what we're here for. We also want to make sure we give a huge shout out and thank you to our friend Chris from the All Y'all podcast. Which is also based here in North Louisiana. He is the one who passed along our information to Meredith and got us in contact with her. We've actually done an episode with him as well, too, so be sure to check that out.
It was awesome. And if you don't follow Chris on Twitter, I heckin' love Chris. He is so just like...
I don't have... I have Twitter, but I don't, get on Twitter.
I follow him on my personal and our podcast Twitter, and he is just, the most, he says what he's feeling, and it's hilarious, and it's so relatable, and I just love the love that he has for hip-hop music. It's just... I love him.
I text Chris and be like, hey, how's life? What are you doing? How's school?
He's awesome.
How's your girlfriend? All this kind of stuff. I'm that. I don't follow.
Yeah, well, me, him, and Meredith just, had this long Twitter chain, I guess, yesterday. We were just talking about the article, and it was just funny, and
I'm gonna have to look it up now.
He basically said the same thing you said about the picture. You just badass. And yeah,
I do. My brother used a very explicit term to describe how I looked. So yeah, anyway, welcome to all of our new Instagram followers. We hope you stick around. We're really happy to have you here.
Yeah, we had 30 new Instagram followers?
in one day? Yes, it was crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of new subs on YouTube.
Yeah. So, We're not going to be giving a huge long intro. We're just going to jump into things today. On today's episode, Bethany is going to tell us about a cold case from 1966. So going back some in Tallahassee, Florida, because it's Florida week, y'all. Again, if you're new around here, every month we alternate. 1 week, the last week of every month is either a Florida week or Louisiana. This month is obviously Florida, so it means next month I will be presenting a case from Louisiana. And I went from having no prospects to like 15 overnight. I'm not even kidding. I've had so many overnight. I've literally had 2 people message me about cases, which have they given me like 4 total now, but there's also like rabbit holed into like finding other stuff, and so I have more than enough now, so I'm gonna have some for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I posted that poll about what we should do for the Twitch stream next month, and you called it. It was like,
I told you it was gonna be
there was a lot of choices for the second one, but a lot
cults are always popular.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're gonna hand it over to her. It's a crazy unsolved case. It's Florida week, so Bethany, take it away.
Okay, so for this week's episode, we're going to talk about the Sims family murder. And I'm just going to tell y'all, it's not the video game. Because contrary to... no, I'm trying not to make this a joke because it is serious. But when I did my research, y'all know I love my YouTube. And I was watching a lot of YouTube videos about it and reading articles. And the comment section under this one girl's video that I watched... I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. But it was like, I came here because I thought this was a tip on Sims or like how to make a Sims family. And I was like, read the room, people.
Read the room.
But I was like,
I mean, there's a time and a place. We've all done the Sims family murder, though.
Yeah.
I've murdered my entire
Yeah,
family.
and they literally thought it was like how
like
different ways to
challenge.
different ways to murder your family on Sims. And the girl was like, no, this was an actual family that was murdered and their last name was Sims.
I'm not laughing.
I just had to include that because it was wild and some people just be wilding on YouTube, but it is still unsolved today. So I'm just going to let y'all know this is not going to have an ending. It's a cliffhanger. I'm so sorry. I promise you this family probably wishes they had justice as well. So yeah, it's unfortunate. We've done a lot of cases like this recently where like it's unsolved. So maybe that's our new like niche. But I'm going to do this kind of a little bit different. We're just going to like go through it together. It was a Saturday night on October 22nd, 1966 in Tallahassee, Florida. Us Floridians call it Tallahassee. Tallahassee now in 2022 and Tallahassee in the 1960s is a completely different beast, even though I am talking about a murder in the 1966. But this was like one of the like first and like major ones, the biggest one that had happened. Like Tallahassee was still kind of tame then. Like this was not normal. Like people didn't really lock their doors back now you'd be absolutely insane not to lock your door in Tallahassee.
I've ever even been, so
You're not. I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry if you're from Tallahassee. Like I've gone there. Like I went and played volleyball camps there a lot every summer, and it is a really nice campus. But but if you love T-Pain like me, and I don't think I've ever said this on the podcast, I'm a huge T-Pain. Spoiler alert, if you've never watched the, I think, first season of Masked Singer, or second season.
I think it's the first.
He won.
He was so good.
He won, and I was so pissed that people didn't know it was T-Pain. Like, me and Zach were watching it, and as soon as the first song, I was like, that's T-Pain.
Oh, really? Tyler and
T-Pain.
I had no idea.
I knew. I was like, that's T-Pain. Zach's like, yeah, it does sound like T-Pain. And I was like, how? He doesn't just use auto-tune, people. But if you love
He was really good.
Yeah, he has really good voice.
Good that season.
If you love T-Pain like I do,
Which sounds like no one does.
I guess. His hometown is Tallahassee. He is from Tallahassee, Florida.
I feel like I would have never... I feel like I knew that, but if someone asked me in like a quiz, I would have never got that right.
I feel like if you're Florida...
He says it in his songs, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he mentioned Florida a good bit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I know that feels like...
And we're going to talk about his name. And
How
it'll
are we
make
going to
sense.
connect
Okay,
T-Pain
so
to this family
a
from
little
the 60s.
backstory on T-Pain's name. The letter T in his name literally stands for Tallahassee.
Okay, I guessed that.
And Payne, he's done a couple of like interviews about it and talking about like growing up in the 80s, growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s before he like got his record deal and got out. Payne literally represents the pain he went through growing up in Tallahassee, the struggle, constantly grinding, constantly worrying about if you're going to get shot or stabbed,
Jesus.
where he's going to stay. He was homeless for a little bit, using a little bit of the money he had to do like recording studio time, and that's how he recorded his first couple of songs and kind of got popular. So yeah, that's just a little fun fact on T-Pain's name and him being a Floridian. So we got T-Pain and we got Florida.
I think everybody knows who Flo Rida is.
Florida. You'd be surprised how many people didn't know that Florida is Florida.
No.
Yes.
Baby, when I was like 13 or however old I was, I even put that together. Put those together.
I mean, it's not like how like Louisiana has like Lil Boozy, but like it's still like.
Well, okay.
And y'all got,
in Shreveport, we got Hurricane Chris.
Yes, I love Hurricane Chris.
We're all gonna be doing the A Bay.
That was my favorite in high school.
I'm not gonna lie. At work, I had to do they did like a little thing. It's like, where did you grow up or whatever, and it took everything inside of me not to put that this was like the birthplace of a hurricane, because I was so scared that somebody would know him and be
Halle
like,
Berry. That's a good song. Yeah.
I was just concerned that somebody wouldn't know it, and then I was like, maybe I should have, because then I could have just like inserted the video of him dancing in front of the grocery store that I can't remember the name of it in his music video, and it's just iconic.
Yeah. But anyways, that's a little backstory on T-Pain. I just had to include that because we were talking about Tallahassee, and I figured some people didn't know.
I just think it's random that we talked about T-Pain, but I love it. It's like
it was Tallahassee. Yeah, Tallahassee, so I had to. I don't think we've talked about. Well, the only other thing about Tallahassee is 10 years after this happened is when Ted Bundy came to Tallahassee and ruined
we don't care about Ted Bundy.
And ruined Tallahassee again, or ruined Florida again. But anyways, there's gonna be other useless facts in this. I'm just warning y'all because it was a shorter episode, so I felt obligated to add some, I don't know, buffers, fillers, but I felt like that was cool. Okay, moving on. 17-year-old Norma Sims. Her name is Norma Jeanette.
Okay, I like it.
But in a lot of stuff, you're going to see her referred to as Virginia. I think they just have their research wrong. But her name is Norma Jeanette Sims. She's 17 years old. The Sims family have 3 daughters.
Okay.
The oldest is Judith. She was away at college. She was grown, so she's not home during this. But Norma had been babysitting for a nearby family, so the parents could attend the Florida State game.
Okay.
Florida State is Tallahassee. Yeah. Fun fact, I did some research. Again, here's another buffer, another filler. They were playing Mississippi State that night. I had to go back in the archives for Florida State. I was curious.
Who were they playing?
I was up really late doing the research for this. But yeah, in October 1966, they were playing
Who won?
It was 10-0. Florida State won. Florida State won.
That was my next question. Who won?
Yeah, I just had to look that up. I was like, because like on all the research, it was like they thought this is why it happened because literally everybody was focused on the game. Like everybody was away watching it or they were home watching it.
Yeah.
So this was like the time to like, I guess, prance.
Yeah.
That's a bad way to describe it, but Florida State people take it very seriously, just like Alabama. But yeah, they played Mississippi and they crushed them 10-0. When she got home later that night, she couldn't find anyone. She like walked in the door and like expected them to be like watching, the end of the game or like a movie or something, and nobody was around. She expected to see her little sister because it was a weekend. So, little kids she was 12 years old. They don't really go to bed early. And it was odd that nobody was around, but the TV was still on, which made her kind of walk around the house. She went to the kitchen. She went to her sister's room. And normally, you turn off the TV if you're all going to bed, and you turn the lights on. All the lights were on. My printer is doing. Okay, me and Crystal have heard like 5 different noises in the office since we came in here. The closet like rustled, and now my printer is randomly.
I'm freaked out, but we're just gonna ignore it.
Yeah.
If you're a ghost in here, I'm sorry.
Finally, she couldn't find anybody, so.
What is happening? Is something printing?
No. Okay. I hope y'all heard that. There's your little spooky moment.
Oh my gosh, I am terrified right now.
Anyways,
Should I unplug it?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Maybe it's just don't look at it.
Okay.
Finally, she walked to the end of the hall because her parents' bedroom was at like at the very back of the house. So she had already walked up to the house, and she had kind of been like calling their names, her mom or dad's name and her little sister's name, and nobody was answering. So she opened the door to really nothing like a teenager wants to see. Like a grown man wouldn't want to see this. Her 12-year-old sister, Joy Lynn, was laying on the floor kind of in the corner, far right corner of her parents' bedroom. She was shot once in the head.
Oh my gosh.
She was wearing her nightgown, which makes me think like this person like barged in as they were like getting ready for bed. I don't know. Or maybe they were just lounging in their PJs while they watched TV. And she had also been stabbed 6 times in the stomach.
Oh my Lord.
Like the lower stomach. She would be the only one that was stabbed. I wonder why.
Oh yeah, I do too.
Overkill? Like, was she the intended target?
That's what it feels
Was it
like.
a child predator? Was she just like the youngest one, so she like put up a fight?
Maybe.
Like, I don't know, but she was shot once in the head, and she was the only one stabbed, and it was 6 times. So
Jesus.
And slightly across the room on the carpet, a little bit further away from Joy, Norma found her mother, 34-year-old Helen, and they were all blindfolded and like tied, like hog-tied.
Hold up. How does a 34-year-old have a kid in college? She must have had her young.
Norma was 17, and I think Judith. It didn't say. Judith could be from like, her dad is older, so Judith could be from a previous marriage. It didn't really say. There wasn't a lot on them because after this, they never did any interviews.
Oh,
They never did any interviews. They never did any television. No, nothing. And
they just kind of let the case go cold.
They were teenagers.
Okay, yeah.
And traumatized, and they didn't really have any other family. They had an aunt.
That's
and
sad.
They had an aunt and an uncle, and that was it. And the aunt and uncle were around their age. So
oh, wow.
I am assuming maybe dad is like almost 10 years older than mom.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I don't know. They're just okay.
There's some creepy stuff
happening in my office right now, yeah. There wasn't a lot because they said that they did not want to like be a part of it. They were really scared. I think they were afraid the killer would come back for them.
Yeah, I can understand
But like
that.
even today, like there's like they don't even know where these people went after this.
That's horrible.
So, yeah. But she did find her mom, 34-year-old Helen, blindfolded and shot twice in the head.
Jesus.
Mom was the only one shot twice. They all like died from different things, but like yeah. Her mother was miraculously still alive. I don't know how I don't know how you survive getting shot twice in the head, but anyways, and on the bed, and it was totally 60s. The bedroom was like
the epitome.
The carpet was like this dark chocolate brown, and then they had a beige carpet over the carpet.
I kind of
a rug. You mean a rug?
I kind of love it. Though.
And then the bedspread was like these like not pastel, but like taupe and light browns and grays flowers.
Oh, I love it.
It was very 60s, even though it was like very horrific scene. I just felt like it was. Mom definitely decorated for the decade. But on the bed, her father, 42-year-old Robert, was also blindfolded, and he was just shot once in the head.
Why are they blindfolded, though?
And, like, they were, like, hogtied. But, like, Dad shot once. Mom shot twice in the head. And then the little sister is shot in the head and stabbed 6 times.
Is she blindfolded?
Yes, they were all blindfolded. All blindfolded and tied up. But, yeah. Both her father kind of was alive when she got there, but he passed before they even got him, like, into the ambulance.
So do they think that maybe she got there, like, right after the killer left?
Yeah, they're pretty sure. They're pretty sure, like, he had, like, the person had been there a little. They think the killer got there, like, after she left to go babysit. Or maybe, like, a little bit after, and he had, like, not been gone that long. Or could still be, like, outside the house watching.
And I hate to bring this up, but we're 100% certain that she had nothing to do with it.
Yes, she didn't have a boyfriend.
I'm not trying to, like, guilt or, like,
I mean, my mind went there, too, because it was very odd. But, no. Like, we're going to talk about it later, but there was, like, nothing for them to go on.
Okay.
And the entire community... We'll get there. But anyways, I don't know. It was just a lot. Her dad was slightly alive when she got there, but he passed a few minutes later. Her sister was dead when she got there.
Okay.
I mean, she'd been shot in the head, stabbed 6 times. There's no way a 12-year-old survives that.
Yeah, no.
Mom is still alive. So she's kind of panicking. And after this horrific sight, Norma went into panic. She's a 17-year-old that just walked in and her entire family has been shot and half of them are dead. So, obviously. And she began calling anyone she could to help her. There were some people, especially at the police department, that thought Norma handled this wrongly. But, y'all, she's 17 years old. She had just been babysitting. She comes home. Her family is dead, basically. How is she supposed to... It's because she doesn't call 911 directly, which 911 wasn't really a thing.
I don't know when 911 started.
It was, but this was 1966. And like I told you, like, my grandparents' house didn't even have a road name. It was like houses back then had a number. So sometimes it took a while for them to, like, figure out where you were. So her first call was to the Beavis. I hope that's how you say it. Or Bevis. I don't know. Nobody really pronounced it. I'm saying Beavis. Like, Beavis and Butthead. Yeah. The Beavis Funeral Home for their ambulance service.
Okay, so they're like an ambulance service that could, like, take you to the hospital or like, just take you
to
directly
your
to
funeral home. Yes.
But they could do either or?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's weird that she just randomly has that number. Or did she have to, like, look it up in the phone book?
I'm pretty sure she probably looked it up in the phone book.
God, that gives me so much, like, anxiety.
Or she asked the operator. A lot of people don't remember that, but yeah, we used to have operators. Another little fun fact: before the 1970s, remember this was 1966. A lot of funeral homes actually picked people up in ambulances. It wasn't even the hospitals; it was the funeral homes. I mean, hospitals did,
but maybe for, like, smaller areas.
And this was Brevard County in Tallahassee, not a big county. So yeah, the funeral homes offer this service. It was also a part of capitalism, another way for them to
make money,
stack on money. But yeah, and a hearse was actually originally used as an ambulance. Makes sense. It wasn't just for picking up, and transporting those that had passed. Later they realized that the way it was made wasn't ideal because people really couldn't get in to help the people. It was just for transporting. So then they're like, okay, we'll just use this for transporting the dead. Yeah. And it actually wasn't until the mid 1970s we had paramedics. This was specifically for Europe. That's just what I was reading. Like in Switzerland and France and stuff, 1970s, where, like, when paramedic classes were really becoming a thing, and then it kind of carried on to the U.S. and stuff.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why I think she called them, and I don't know why the cops were being butts, but I
guess it's something we could ask our grandparents about. Be like, hey, in the 60s and 70s, if you had an emergency who did you call? Like, if somebody was dead.
I mean, they had an ambulance service, so, I mean, I feel like she did the right
I wonder if they had,
thing.
like, little things like how people do now. They send you, like, fridge magnets that have phone numbers on it for stuff for you to call. I wonder if they did that. That's kind of cliche. I hope they didn't do that.
I mean, me and Crystal were literally, before we started recording, we're having a conversation about how our 911 drastically needs to be updated because you have to call like 5. If it's not an emergency, you can't just like call 911 or they're
going
to
call the non-emergency
line.
They're going to tell you, ma'am, you need to call a non-emergency
or if you need like animal control, that's another number. Or like if you have a family member that works at the dispatch center and you can't call their cell phone, you need to call another number. Like I've had to do that with my husband. Sometimes he can't answer his phone and I have to go through like 5 different numbers to get his office number because I can't just call 911 and be like, hey, what time are you coming home? I'm making dinner, stuff like that. So I don't know. But none of this made any sense to the community. They were your literal average suburban family in the 60s, white family in a nice home. Dad was a doctor. He actually worked for the education system.
Oh, bougie.
And it was just, they were not, on the radar, I guess.
Yeah, they weren't
nothing scandalous.
High profile.
Yeah, nothing scandalous happened. There was no danger. They weren't involved in drugs or like, stuff like that, crime.
They were just
normal
family.
Yeah.
That's so scary.
So the cops, the community, it shocked them. It rocked Tallahassee. This is the case that like made people start locking their doors. Made parents afraid for their children to go like babysit other families because what if somebody breaks in, like I'll be cliche here, the Halloween movies where like it's always they're babysitting someone and freaking Michael Myers props up and he's like killing all the teenagers. So this was the case that kind of, I guess, made Tallahassee because a lot of crime started happening after this. It cracks me up when people aren't from Florida and I tell that to them and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I
feel like I've heard it before. Like I think I've heard somebody call it that.
I'm pretty sure it's in a music video or something. I'm pretty sure T-Pain's probably said it.
Yeah, I don't know, because like when you said it, it didn't feel like the first time I've ever heard it. I was like, I feel like I could have known that.
Very rarely do I even say Tallahassee. I always say Tallahassee. I don't know. No offense to y'all that live there.
Here, we call it Ratchet City.
Yeah. Equivalent, yeah.
Yeah.
That is agreed. No offense, because I did spend a lot of my summers there. I literally at one point in my life thought I was going to play professional volleyball. Did not happen for me. Plot twist. And I went to Florida State and the University of Florida a lot during summer for like travel ball and like just summer camp and stuff. So I did spend some time in Tallahassee. But yeah, it's just a running joke for Floridians, so.
Floridians.
Yeah.
Wait, what did I call Floridians the other day?
Floridians or something like I don't remember.
Floridites.
Floridites, yeah. Floridites.
That's their new name.
Anyways, I literally could not find a single negative thing about them. None of the reports, none of the neighbors, everyone, literally, they went and asked everybody in this town. And they all had something nice to say.
Well, see, that makes me more suspicious because who has everything nice about them?
I don't know. It was
I feel like
suspicious.
Somebody could say something negative about anyone.
Yeah, but literally none of them did. I don't know.
That's weird, okay.
Maybe because it's 1960s?
Maybe so.
I don't know. They were extremely kind. They did a lot of volunteer work. The children did a lot of good stuff at the school. They were heavily involved in the church. Mrs. Sims was actually the secretary at the local Baptist church.
Oh, jeez.
Like, I mean, postcard, right?
Yeah, kind of scary, actually.
What's that book? And they made it a movie. Where the wives are robots.
Oh, Stepford
Wives. Yeah, Stepford Wives vibes.
Very much so.
The director himself, Russell Beavis of the Beavis Funeral Home, and his son, his teenage son, were actually the ones to respond to it.
Kid.
Because, like I said, stuff like this didn't happen. Yeah. So he felt obligated to, like, go himself. And they brought the ambulance and stuff, and they were helping them. And there honestly wasn't a lot they could do. They were shot in the head, stabbed. At this point, they were transporting 2 bodies to their funeral home, and then one body had to be somewhat transferred to the hospital. But they first untied the bodies just out of respect and to see if there was anything to do. Like, because like I said, they were hogtied.
Were they doing it like in a way to like see if they could provide any help to them?
Yes.
Okay.
They were. And to this day, that's what they say. But later on, it would kind of get him somewhat in trouble with the Brevard County Police Department because they felt like it tampered with the crime scene and the evidence. But they were just trying to help. And I really think these police officers were just being buttholes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I
even today, if paramedics come to a scene, they still check the bodies.
Yeah. I don't think they would untie the bodies if they knew they were dead.
But this was also the 60s, and there weren't really paramedics yet.
And no offense to people, but people didn't have the same kind of forensic knowledge that they have today.
And it was probably like panic.
And it wasn't because they weren't stupid. Like
it was just like, I need help.
Yeah.
But Mr. Sims, by the time the ambulance got there, had passed, and Joy was already dead when they got there, so I don't know. And Mrs. Sims, of course, needed to be transported to the hospital immediately, so that was kind of their main focus. And the scene literally left them with nothing to go on. They did find like a small amount of DNA, but this was 1966. Everything came back inconclusive.
Like, do you mean DNA as in like just like biological material because they didn't even have DNA testing?
So they didn't say, and I think they did that out of respect to the family. And I am just going to say it. People will probably roast it for me. I think something inappropriate happened to the little girl.
Oh, that's sad. So like, so you think that like
they
had sperm, like, but they couldn't. Obviously, they didn't have DNA testing back then, so they couldn't test that.
They couldn't really test it, and they never really said it in the paper or anything. I think they were just doing that
out of respect.
One, it was the 60s. Nothing like this had happened in Brevard County. I mean, obviously, people had been murdered. Murder has happened since the beginning of time. Like, Cain and Abel. But, I mean, that's literally... Is that not the first murder?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think that's what it is. I'm just mentioning it because I know there's going to be some people like Crystal that were curious. It is very sad. I'm not going to go into detail.
Because, I mean, like, if they found biological material, like, if you
that's
mean
the
by, like,
only
DNA
thing
and,
I
like,
can...
biological material, it's either sperm, spit,
I'm just assuming
hair.
It was Joy Lynn because she was the only one that was stabbed.
Yes.
Differently. I really do think
and that's
she was the intended target.
I feel like stabbing somebody is way different than just shooting someone in the head. Like, that is so much more personal.
I think he shot the dad first because he had the single gunshot wound and he was like basically almost dead when he got there. And then he probably shot the mom and then he had his way with Joy and like stabbed her and shot her to finish her off, which is really sad.
I was thinking it the other way around.
Oh, Joy first.
I feel like he did everything to her while the parents were there.
Maybe.
Because I mean, I feel bad for saying all this, but I feel like if you're going to stab somebody, like, go through that, you're going to want someone to see that happen because you're like, you have
they're
that...
Weirdos.
Yeah, they're weirdos and they have
that probably,
desire
they're probably
the
other thing. But Mr. Beavis described the bodies as being bound with pantyhose, several pieces of lingerie. This was the 60s, so I'm pretty sure they were probably talking about like a slip or a teddy. Mm-hmm. A lot of women wore that under their dresses back then in the 60s and 70s, even the 80s.
Oh God! I remember having to wear like a slip at church.
God, and those god awful
and
pantyhose.
Oh God, I have like just
Yeah, my granny did not leave the house without a pantyhose. You did not show that leg, even though you still are showing.
I'm pretty sure my Nana
still does.
Day,
yeah.
And I just can't. That just like hurts my soul.
But it was like pantyhose, slips, teddies, a tie. They were a tie.
Anything
stuff that they could find in the bedroom.
Yeah.
I think he was just looking through the bedroom. He probably herded them to the back of the bedroom and then just like looked through their drawers and stuff and tied them up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he made it work, I guess. And there was
had them tie each other up. Probably. It's probably controlled.
There was literally no signs that someone had broken in. There were 2 coffee cups in the living room where Mr. and Mrs. Smith had been drinking while watching the game.
Smith or Sims?
Or Sims, I'm sorry. It's so similar. I was saying that when I was doing research. Sims. I think I just see the S and automatically want to say Smith. But the Sims. They were like drinking coffee as they were like finishing watching the game, probably getting ready for bed. Those were still on the coffee table in the living room, half drunk.
Okay.
So probably fairly soon after they made those cups and sat down is when they didn't even get to finish it. Nothing was taken that Norma could recall, and that was the only time she talked to the police. Was about like the house and stuff, and what, that was literally the only time they talked to them. Not really any signs of struggle. Nothing was overturned. Nothing really was destroyed. It literally looked like somebody had just walked in the house, herded them to the back bedroom.
That's weird.
And no signs of them leaving. Which is really odd.
Yeah.
Either these people knew the person or the killer stayed behind and cleaned up. That was one theory the cops had, is that he had enough time before Norma got home, and if there was like a sign of like, a plant overturned or a dish
Pitcher kind of crooked,
a chair overturned or stuff kind of moved around.
Well, why would he spend this time cleaning that up? Like, what purpose does that serve? To me, it makes more sense that he just walked out the front door.
To make it look even odder, even more suspicious.
Yeah, I could see it.
Like someone knew them, even though possibly he didn't even know them at all. He could have been he could have been a drifter. But
like, would he have just like knocked on the door and been like, "Hey, can I come in and use your phone?" Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, this was 1966, so that's not that. My car broke down the street.
Dude, if someone knocked on my door today, I hit the ground, okay? I hit the ground. I pop open my phone app that has the camera to the outside, and I stare at the people until they go away.
Yeah, and I saw several people. I cannot talk, and my dog is barking. She's on my nerves.
It's okay.
Welcome to the podcast. I saw several people
Good job.
mention it when I was doing my research, but this case truly does remind me of the book In Cold Blood.
I've never read it.
You'll have to. Add it to your list. It's going to creep you out. I don't know. I was 15 years old when I read it.
Ooh, baby.
Oh, great. Now a car alarm. Like, anything that can happen during this episode has happened.
It has. We've had ghost experiences. Daisy. Baby, turn off your car alarm.
How do they not? Music. Yeah, how do they not hear that?
Oh, is there two going off now?
What is happening, y'all? Y'all are a bit. If y'all make it to the end of this episode... Y'all are real ride or die listeners, because this has been a hot mess. But where was it? In Cold Blood. Yes, add it to your reading. Adding it to your reading list.
Books to read.
I was a freshman in high school when I read this. My mom actually had to sign a waiver so I could read this, because it is really scary. It is really creepy. It is a true story that happened in Arkansas. Arkansas or Kansas? I'm sorry, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was Arkansas. It was like this really farm town where like your neighbor's like 10 miles away, But I fell in love with it. It was, and don't take this the wrong way, I didn't fall in love with it because people died. It was my kind of like first look into like a true crime book as a teenager.
It came out the same year that this murder happened.
Yes.
That's creepy.
It did. Although it took him 6 years to write this. He started writing it in 1960.
Yeah, it says it was published in 1966.
Yes, it took him 6 years. He was dedicated to this. He went to the town himself and interviewed everybody. And the people actually ended up getting caught and were executed back then when they did that. But it was my first look, and it was amazing and terrifying at the same time that someone could do something like this and just vanish without a trace. Although in that book they ended up getting caught, but at the time when he started writing it, they didn't know yet. So it was like in the beginning of the book, it's really mysterious and really creepy, and he kind of writes it that way, like they don't get caught even though they do. And it was really scary. It was really
Oh, I
scary.
kinda wanna read
It
it
was really
now.
scary. And I was 15, so like stuff was scarier back then.
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved that English teacher. She was one of my best friend's mom, and she was our English teacher. Loved it. It was amazing. So thank you. That kind of
Brought you back.
brought me. Yeah, it was a good little memory. But 9 days later, after this happened on October 22nd, so just before Halloween, if my math's right. Yeah. Day before Halloween, Miss Sims would pass away in the hospital. Yeah. She never regained consciousness, partly because of the bullets were lodged in the very back of her head. They never exited. They were both
They're just like bouncing around back there.
Yeah, they both lodged in the back of her head. And the doctors were keeping her in a medicated coma due to the severity. There was honestly nothing they could do, and they knew if she gained consciousness, she would just be in pain. And she was basically in a vegetated state.
That's sad.
I hope that's not offensive to say, because that's literally how the doctors described it. But she was literally she had no brain activity, and they were basically keeping her coma and just like everything. So
the machines were keeping her alive.
Basically, they made the decision to just take her off the life support, and
that's so sad.
it is really sad. So she never got to give them a statement, and she was the only one that survived it technically. But yeah. Get this though, a neighbor later reported hearing screams, but she didn't call 911.
Why?
It doesn't really say, but she said it was around 10:45, 11 p.m. Like somewhere before 11 p.m. She heard screaming coming from their house.
What time did the daughter get home?
I think like 11:30-ish, 11:15, 11:30. So that must have happened like pretty fast.
So was she hearing the daughter scream when she like found her parents? Or
it wasn't like, oh, that's a good question. It didn't specifically say. She just gave a report to the police the next day that she heard screaming around 10:45, 11.
Why did she not call anybody?
All I know is if I hear blood-curdling screaming coming from my neighbors, I'm calling. I would rather be embarrassed.
Oh, heck yeah.
Than my neighbors get murdered. So, I don't know. But that is literally all that I have for the gist of it. There were there were some weirdos that tried to claim you know how there's always those people on their deathbed, they're like, I killed this person, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And there was one criminal from Brevard County that on his deathbed, he said that he killed them, and his wife was trying to claim that he had told her like 20 years ago, like back in the 80s,
like
that he killed her. But they found out it was because there was a reward money. They found it was just because she just wanted the reward money. So nothing was ever
creepy.
Nothing ever came from it. For a long time, they even like drained a lake that was in town because they were like so sure that they were gonna find the gun in like a lake, but there was literally nothing. They never found the gun.
So what do people think happened? Like, what's the popular like theory, or there is none?
So the most popular theory is that the pastor from the church that Mrs. Sims was the secretary of killed them.
Okay, why?
Literally, I have no idea. Like, they didn't really go into detail about it.
Was his family so perfect because she was having an affair with the pastor and the pastor got angry and killed him?
It's just...
I mean, that would be a good way that they would have to, like, they would let someone in their house, like, no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, if your pastor knocked on your door and was like, hey, blah, 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 you would probably invite them in.
Yeah,
But at that point, too, would you not... Well, I mean, would you not offer them a glass of a cup of coffee as well, too? I don't know. I'm thinking too much about this.
I don't know. It hit town so bad that, like, they didn't even do trick-or-treating that year.
Oh, geez.
They canceled trick-or-treating. Families were afraid to send their kids out because they, like... I kind of feel like they thought there was like a serial killer out there, or like the beginning of a serial killer. It was like maybe it was like a drifter that drifted into town and like just happened to pick this family. But it literally rocked them, and
I like the pastor option. That feels kind of fun.
There wasn't like any evidence though. Like they interviewed him.
So where'd the theory come from?
Probably nosy housewives in town that, like you said, probably had this idea in there that she worked at the church. She must be sleeping with the pastor, and he killed them in a fit of rage because she won't leave her husband. Which
could be.
Possibly, but they literally never found anything against him. And, like, even, like, I don't know if he's dead now.
I feel like he probably
But
is.
he never did anything. Like, no crime, no nothing. He continued to be the pastor.
That's weird.
But, yeah, there was no evidence, no nothing. There were, like you said, some people that wondered if Norma killed them. But, like, where's the gun? Where did she get a gun? The family didn't own a gun. It's just, I wish I had an ending to this, but there is not one.
There's not one.
And the speculations, the conspiracies people had were literally just that, speculation. There was literally no concrete evidence. If this had happened today, the evidence would have been tested and we 100% probably would have found somebody. But unfortunately, that is how there were so many unsolved cases back then. They could not really do DNA testing.
Yeah.
And if they didn't, the person wasn't like
Best you
outright caught. Yeah.
And blood typing, but that really didn't give you that much information.
But yeah, that is all that I have for this one.
So what's your official theory?
I honestly think that it was someone in town or a drifter.
I feel like, I don't know this family, but I feel like somebody came to their house, they knew the person, they let them in, and they took them by surprise.
I also feel the same. That's why I think it was somebody in town. Not necessarily do I think it was the pastor. I feel like that's just too, like, perfect.
Yeah,
that fits
like,
the
weird
narrative way too much. That's what people probably want it to be.
Yeah, I feel like that would be, like, a good book or a good movie.
I feel like it was, like, maybe a young teen that was confused, working through some stuff, had some anger issues, took it out on Joy, the little girl. She was probably the intended target, so maybe someone a little bit older than Joy, maybe Norma's age.
Maybe.
Like 17, 18. And, like, when you do that to her, you obviously have to kill the parents because, you know,
Everyone's
that's witnesses. Yeah. And he just, that's how he was let in. So maybe, like, a neighborhood boy from the street.
Someone that they all knew.
A classmate of Norma's that if they answered the door, the parents would be like, come in, you wait here till Norma gets home or something. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of because nothing makes sense. And if it's just like a drifter, they're just one unlucky family.
Oh, yeah.
That got picked.
But if they're like in the middle of the neighborhood, like, I don't know, that feels weird. I feel like they would have had to like stalk them. Yeah,
and they actually, a student from the university or the Florida State University actually made a film about it, a documentary. It was called 641 Mural Court, which is their address. And it actually won a couple awards and stuff. And it was made by Kyle Jones from the Florida State University. I just looked it up, so I gave you guys the right information. And
what was the address?
641 Muriel Court. Muriel Court. I am sorry, y'all. Like, my throat is not wanting to pronounce words or cooperate.
The house looks very stereotypically
suburban home. Yeah, it is.
It's kind of got like trees all around it though. Like it's got like those big mossy trees all on top of it.
Yep.
Someone bought it this year or last year.
Oh wow. Which, doing my research, you'd be surprised, there was a lot of people commenting from Tallahassee that didn't even know this case had happened.
Really?
So, which is why I'm glad we're doing this case today, so maybe more people will hear it and they'll know about it. And it really is sad that people can die like this and nobody ever know about it. So.
I wonder, okay, so it sold for $185,000. I wonder if that's only because someone was murdered in it.
Probably. People are sickos. There are weirdos out there.
I mean, it's it's an average size house. It's 1,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and it was built in 1955.
I mean, they had money. He was a doctor and he was a state educator. He was over like the state of Florida.
But it is like legit, like a little neighborhood home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
God, people on my street are loud. There's a motorcycle outside now.
I mean, I don't know. It's just like as stereotypical of a house as I could have possibly imagined.
Okay, ma'am, you said you had a story or something that you can end with us? You said to remind you didn't want a long intro?
Oh, it really wasn't a story. It was just the fact it was a case that I want to talk about. And when you said steel magnolias, it reminded me of it because Grant, one of my best friends, Ainsley, her husband sent me a thing like at 1:00 this morning saying that there was a case that he wants me to do. And let me find it. Grant, there he goes. Grant, you're getting a shout out. You should be so happy.
Shout out, Grant.
Grant gives me all my conspiracy theories.
Ooh,
like he is like my conspiracy theory person. But he said, I have a murder y'all should cover if you haven't yet. And we haven't. The owner of the Steel Magnolias house in Natchitoches killed a Girl Scout after the filming of the movie and was recently released from prison.
How have I never heard of this?
I don't know. I hadn't either, but he sent me the thing, the web article.
The girl was coming around selling cookies and he killed her?
He confessed to abducting an 11-year-old girl that came to his door selling school candy. He killed her and disposed of her remains and threw her bike in the lake.
Y'all, don't be letting your children go to people's houses.
Out the day before my birthday, January 22nd, as a free man.
This year?
Mm-hmm, this year.
Y'all do not be letting your children go to random people's houses.
He was released at the age of 65, having only served 24 years. His early release participated by a loophole in the good time laws that Louisiana had.
Me and Crystal talk about how that freaking law is so dumb. You can murder somebody, and if you're a good little boy in prison, they'll let you out early.
I really want to do it. So I told y'all about it. So maybe that means I have to do it. And then he sent me another one about one in Laplace, and it was really bad. And I knew it was good because he sent me like the actual like case, like the case thing, where it's like the state versus the person. And he was like, it's pretty twisted even for me. And I started reading it, and I had to stop because I was like, I need to get in the right mind space to read
y'all,
it.
It'll probably be on the schedule because literally after we finish filming this, we are about to plan out the next 2 months. So y'all buckle up.
It's going to be a fun time. It ain't going to be a great mental health time, but
we do
go to therapy.
I'll go ahead and mention it. We do, so y'all can get prepared for it. And we still need to, we're literally about to pick dates now. So next episode, I'll have an actual date for y'all. But next month, so the month of May, I can't believe it's going to be May.
It's going to be May.
I'm turning 28.
Woohoo!
And at the end of it, it's crazy. So is my husband. But,
y'all were babies. I forget.
Yeah. And, so for May's Twitch stream, I did a poll. So make sure you're following us on Instagram, Bayou_Chronicles, because we do a lot of polls and we like literally just straight up ask y'all what y'all want us to talk about. And I did a poll on if the Twitch stream, both episodes are happening next month. It's just which was going to be a Twitch stream and which was going to be a regular week episode. And I asked if you guys wanted the Sleepy Time Tea Cult, which shout out to TikTok for this.
Yes.
I don't buy this brand anymore. Now that I've heard of this,
I've never bought.
I used to, They have really good lavender tea and like chamomile tea. But after reading this and doing research and seeing all these videos on TikTok, we're never gonna buy
Sleepy Time tea ever again.
Don't ever buy Sleepy Time. Or I said the Winchester House, which is kind of a folklore, paranormal for California, and all y'all crazies want me to talk about the cult for the Twitch stream.
Oh, of course.
So be on the lookout for that next month. I will have to work on it. Crystal's a busy woman, and
that's why we're planning this out right now.
We're planning, and we're also planning a trip home to my hometown. So
she can convince me to move.
Yes. So
everyone cross your fingers.
We're getting the band back together.
We're going to have a she shed.
A she shed. I literally have already told Zach that I want a she shed, by the pool at our house that we're moving to next year, and it's literally going to be just the recording studio. So it's going to be like when we stream, we got the pool in the background.
And she wants me to put a house. Well, actually, it was Zach's idea.
Yes.
To put a house like right next door and just walk to my she shed. Hey, Beth, you want to meet at the she shed?
It could be your
record?
work office too.
It
Thank
could
you.
be. It really could be.
I could be working on podcast stuff while you're working.
We could.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like I went to work every day.
Yeah. Gives you a little routine, normalcy.
I could walk out of my house, walk 200 feet into the she shed.
This is a dream. This is every millennial couple's.
Oh my god, I couldn't even imagine. Like I would have so much.
And then when you need a break, just dip in the pool.
Oh my god, I could work
by the pool.
Just need a really strong Wi-Fi and we're good.
Get you friends that you want to make a commune with.
It's a cult. Don't even.
Not in a bad way. Like the cult the sleepy time tea we're talking about, that's a cult.
Every time I mention to somebody, like, yeah, me and Bethany have like this long-term plan just to live in like this area together and just kind of like let the boys come over when they want to and just kind of have like a garden and grow things and just basically live in this one place. They're like, oh, so you want to make a cult? And I'm like, yeah.
I guess so. But like we're not making anybody drink Kool-Aid or anything.
No, we're not telling you to worship anybody or give us all your money.
It's just, screw capitalism and living.
It's easier to live together as a bunch of people than it is to
alone right now. It's crazy. But that is all that we have for you guys today. I'm so sorry that we keep giving y'all these unsolved ones.
Long unsolved ones at that.
But like these cases really honestly need to be talked more about the ones that are solved because they're...
Yeah, the unsolved ones, who knows?
This is scary. This is scary that somebody, think about it, could come into your home, kill your entire family, and never go to jail, never be found. Just on the run, dust in the wind, tumbleweed going across the screen.
Creepy.
But thank you guys. If you made it this long, this was a hot mess episode. Our office is officially haunted. And 5 million car alarms. And apparently my neighbor has a motorcycle now that I didn't know about. But... Thank you guys.
A great one.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Time for our daily affirmations. You're great, you're awesome, you're amazing, you're kind, you're perfect in every way, and drink your water.
Take your meds.
Brush your teeth.
Brush your hair. Take a shower. Love yourself first because you can't love others if you don't love you.
Yes. Take care of yourself. Go out there and be an awesome human. And I mean this in the nicest way. Have the day you deserve. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean it in the way that make the day
what
exactly
you want it to
what
be.
You need to deserve to have. You deserve to have a great day, so have the day you deserve. Manifest that.
I agree. Yeah. Get you a manifestation journal. I have one.
Yeah, they're great.
Alrighty, we will see you guys next week.
Bye.